So today, um, my main point here is to share my observations regarding building an optimal ads stack. Um First, let me give you some background about myself. So in 2011, I started a mobile apps publishing company called Alpha Productions. And over the last 4 or 5 years, we've released more than 3,000 applications on Google Play and App Store. Obviously, not all of them were successful, but we did pretty well. So annual gross of the publishing company is more than $17 million. And at present days, our DAO is over 4 million users. Most of our inventory is being monetized by advertisements, so we never do in-app purchases, and we've built a very strong expertise in monetization using advertisements. So, as an in-house solution at Alpha Productions, we started to work on this tool that helped us to automate inventory management on different ad networks. And the second goal was to improve our ad revenues, because we came up to a conclusion that the whole marketplace is built in favor of advertisers, and middlemen cut too much. Ad networks have huge margin rates. We wanted to bring the justice back to publishers. So the point was to free up as much human resources as possible and to improve ad revenues. And eventually, we kind of spinned off this product, and we started a separate company that we called Apodil. So today, Apodil is more than 50 employees all over the world. We are headquartered in San Francisco. We got a branch in Boston, in Moscow, in Barcelona. We help more than 4,500 active applications to monetize every day. Their revenues on average double with us, and as you can see, we process around 3 billion impressions a month at this point. So this is a little background about myself and my company. So we've come across different. We've helped many different publishers to set up an optimal to increase their ad revenues, and we've assembled together what we've come across in this deck that I'm going to be sharing with you today. So the name of my presentation today is how to build an optimal ad stack. So let's get started. So let's have an app. The easiest and the most outdated way to monetize your app is to integrate with a single ad network. Now, obviously, this is not the best thing to do and not the most efficient way to monetize your app, because one individual ad network doesn't provide good coverage across all the world. It doesn't provide good fill rate. eCPM is not always so good. So multiple ad networks is always better than just one ad network, right? But how do you manage all these ad networks? You come up with some kind of waterfall manager or traffic distribution system. So there are different kinds of mediation platforms. Without going too deep into details, I'm going to share with you that traffic distribution is, in general, it is better done by software rather than a human, because humans tend to do a lot of errors and mistakes and stuff like that. So there is a static waterfall, the one that is being managed by your ad ops guys. There is a dynamic waterfall. There is an auction-based traffic distribution. So once you switch over to the auction-based thing, you allocate a lot of human resources from your ad operations department. How do you utilize all this newly freed up resources? Now, each single ad network has different options, different settings that allow you to tune it up. Like, for instance, some CPI ad networks allow you to blacklist low-performing advertisers, and that's a great thing to do. It allows you to increase your revenue a lot. Some ad networks provide you an option to set the frequency capping. So successful publishers, they tend to introduce multiple tiers of frequency capping and list them several times within their waterfall. Same thing applies to price floors. You don't want to use an ad network without using any any kind of price floors. You want to set appropriate price floors. And then you want to implement your SDK in a way so that it runs auctions in the background, because there is always a chance to get a higher paying advertisement. So this is something that can be done by your ad ops guys once you switched or you got rid of manual waterfall management. Now the next thing to do to make this whole scheme even more sophisticated and more advanced is to look around for additional ad formats. I continue to be surprised when I see that a lot of publishers, they continue ignoring native ads formats, for instance, or rewarded videos formats. So this is something that successful publishers tend to put a lot of resources into. They analyze their app, they look for empty spaces, they integrate native ads, they analyze performance of interstitials, and then they introduce videos and so on. Moving on, a little trick that I learned from one of our most successful publishers. What they do, they actually break down all of their traffic into multiple tiers. It turns out that breaking down your traffic into multiple tiers, premium tier, standard tier, and leftovers, significantly increases performance of ad networks, because you set an independent waterfall for each tier. Now, why does it happen? Because some ad networks, they focus on the premium traffic, right? So they don't buy too much from you, but they always produce higher eCPM because they try to grab all the premium impressions from your app. Some apps, some ad networks, they don't really care about the premium traffic, but they care about the volume. They want to get as much traffic as possible, and so they produce better performance on leftovers traffic. So that's why it's important to break down your traffic into multiple tiers. So we've optimized ad networks at this point. This is all just before we get to the RTB marketplace. There are 4 major marketplaces, RTB marketplaces right now. Mopop by Twitter, Rubicon Project, LifeRail by Facebook, and AdX by Google. You want to be a part of all of these marketplaces because each marketplace has a different set of advertisers. Like AdX, for instance, they do a lot of branding campaigns, and Rubicon, while Mopop tends to serve more like gaming campaigns. In addition to that, there are 2 different verticals on the RTB marketplace. There is open RTB marketplace and private RTB marketplace. Both verticals should be managed completely separately in a different way. So typically, what ad operations guys do, they apply the same optimization techniques to open marketplace that they use with ad networks, which is setting appropriate price floors and placing a call to an RTB marketplace several times in the waterfall and running auctions in the background. This is something that applies to the open RTB marketplace. And the other thing is setting up programmatic deals over private marketplace. In order to set up a programmatic deal, you kind of wrap a portion of your traffic into a sexy package, sexy for advertisers, like a set of males above 25 years old, or premium device users, or first look impressions. And then you post this bundles on the programmatic deal marketplace. This can bring in a lot of additional revenue to your game or app. So now we are done with an RTB marketplace. We are done with ad networks. The next best thing you could do, you could start selling advertisements directly. You can start building relationships with direct advertisers. And this is where the real income begins. So I got this little slide over here that's that illustrates comparison between what you can be average eCPMs that you can be getting with direct deals and that you might be getting with an ad network. So with an ad network, you typically get on average, all right? So because eCPM depends on many factors, but let's take an average app. It would produce like around $5 eCPM on interstitials. With direct deals, you can increase it by 5 times. Because this is how it works. Because around 60% of the marketing budget is being cut by middlemen. You eliminate all this middleman and you work with direct advertisers directly. This is what your ad operations department should be focused on. Because this is where the real revenue comes in. You don't want to stick with one ad network or the waterfall. And the other thing, the last brick in this scheme is at the very bottom. You see the green one? It says ask for a lower commission. What does it mean? It means that large publishers, they can actually bargain with an ad network for a better rev share, for a better terms. And I'm sure you all know about that. So this is how, according to our experience, optimal ad stack looks like. This is what pretty much every other publisher is trying to achieve. But this is something that is very hard to achieve because it consumes a lot of human resources, it consumes a lot of time, and so on. The funny thing here is that programmatic mediation can help you efficiently automate most components of this scheme. So you don't really have to manage your waterfall anymore. It's all done by auction. You don't have to break down your traffic into multiple tiers anymore. You don't have to tune up every ad network. You don't have to sign up with every ad network separately. It's all done. It's all automated already at this moment, and you don't have to study all this RTB stuff anymore. You don't have to negotiate programmatic deals. It all can be done on your behalf with programmatic mediation. So I already showed you this comparison chart. So like I said, with an average ad network, you'd be getting like $5 eCPM. You can improve that by $8 with static mediation, some basic kind of mediation. You can get even up to $13 if you do dynamic waterfall with support for RTB marketplace. And programmatic mediation, the one that automates most of the components of your scheme, might get you up to $17 eCPM. This is what we are seeing with our publishers. They increase their revenues up to 3 times, depending on their previous ad stack. This scheme illustrates where successful publishers tend to invest their human resources, their ad ops human resources. 4 items we've got here. They focus on the products. They focus on constant reassessment of ad formats they're using and ad placements they're using within their app. They invest a lot of time into direct deals and selling directly to brands. And they invest a lot of time building strong relationships with ad networks, because that can help them achieve a better terms from an ad network. So those are 4 things that ad ops tend to focus on today. This is pretty much it. I'm gonna just leave this slide here, and I'm more than happy to answer your questions.
I have a question for you if no one else wants to step forward. So I'm thinking that there must be a concept of like a minimal traffic level for mediation. So if I have 1 user per day, I probably don't need mediation. If I have 4 million DAUs, like you mentioned, I probably need this. Is there like a threshold that you have noticed in the industry?
So there is a huge difference between programmatic mediation or header bidding mediation and basic mediation. Huge difference. Programmatic mediation, it doesn't just include traffic distribution across different ad networks. It automates the whole ad stack. So it doesn't matter if you have one impression a day or millions of impressions a day. You still need to tune up ad networks, right? You still need to blacklist all the advertisers manually. You still need to sign up with new ad networks that continue to pop up here and there. You still need to, well, you probably can't bargain with an ad network, right? Because you don't have too much inventory. But this is much more than a traffic distribution. And this is why this programmatic mediation thing works perfectly well for both small publishers and large publishers. Obviously, the larger publisher is, the more bricks from this scheme they want to implement. I hope this answers.
So basically, one could start with this from day one, even, you're saying.
Yeah. So there are no limitations, right? We see a lot of indie developers that switch over to our platform, and their revenues, they don't skyrocket, but they literally double, like overnight. And we also have a lot of experience with larger guys. We have some use cases online, so you can Google it. And large guys, they experience their... So the thing with large guys, they already have their ad stack set up properly enough. You know, they are pretty sophisticated in many aspects. But the problem about large guys is that they still need to invest a lot of human resources to support this whole thing. So this is beneficial for larger publishers because they free up human resources and they put it into direct sales. Make sense?
Hello. Does Apodil support COPPA for kids younger than 13?
Yeah, we are COPPA compliant. So the way it works, you put a checkbox in our dashboard, and again, this checkbox automatically populates across different ad networks that we are integrated with. We said that, and it doesn't happen, like there is no account manager that does it for you. It all happens, it's all done by software. So you click the checkbox, and software distributes this specific checkbox across all the ad networks. And more than that, if we have a new ad network in our ad stack, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to sign up with them. You don't have to worry about COPPA compliance. Programmatic mediation already takes care of that.
Along that same vein, when we worked with ad networks and we requested to eliminate certain ads, political ads and things, they said yes, but they still did it, and same with COPPA too. So the programmatic side is good, but it's not a fail-safe. So do you provide additional manual checks on the ad networks that are integrated?
So the way we do it, we tend to integrate only with major guys. So we are not trying to integrate with everyone. We're trying to integrate with only major guys. But you are right. This is a big problem, and even large guys, they often have some kind of low quality of advertisements, and there is not really much you can do about it because even large guys, they have their in-house revieval team, and sometimes they miss this or that. There is nothing you can do about it, unfortunately, and it doesn't matter if you use programmatic mediation or you have direct relations with an ad network relationships.
Hello. Is this platform is totally your in-house development, or you use some other systems like DoubleClick to get some ad networks that you cannot connect directly, for example?
Well, we are integrated directly with pretty much everyone on the market. You name it. We are probably integrated already with your favorite ad network. We do integrate over middlemen, primarily RTB exchanges, with some smaller guys. Yeah, we do that. But typically, it makes a lot of sense to integrate programmatically because over RTB exchange, because it provides you much more control over price floors and stuff like that, to actually squeeze higher revenues from these smaller ad networks. So speaking of DoubleClick DBM, we are connected in two ways. We are connected over various RTB exchanges because they bid directly on us over RTB exchanges, and then we are connected over AdMob as well. This is completely in-house development, so we do not rely on any other third-party solutions. What we do, we access third-party marketplaces, but we do not rely on third-party solutions.
Okay, so I think we're done with the questions, but Pavel will be here in the conference for 3 more full days, so you're welcome to visit them at the booth and find him on the floor if you have more questions for him. So
Yeah,
thank you,
happy
Pavel.
to do that. Thank you.